your obituary could well mention Bush v. Gore, first among many, many interesting cases over a 40-year career. Yeah. We don't have to write the obituary today.
Good.
But do you lose sleep at all about Bush v. Gore? Is it something you mull or ruminate on your own, other than and not just when journalists ask?
Not a lot. I think that one of the things you learn as a trial lawyer is you move on. You do the best job you can in a particular context, and you accept that sometimes courts will get it wrong, or maybe the courts get it right and you just looked at it differently. So either way, you've got to be prepared to move on.
Did you ruminate and mull the next day? The next
Sure.
week?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
I mean, I remember...
It took a while to move on, although it helped the fact that I had another trial getting ready to start.
That trial being?
It was a Calvin Klein trademark. We were representing Calvin Klein in a big trademark dispute. So that helped because it took your mind off it. But it was a difficult decision to accept. I'd grown up in an environment in which the United States Supreme Court was a almost unadulterated force for good. It had expanded civil and human rights essentially throughout my period when I could realize what courts were about.
Late 1950s, 1960s.
Late 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. You could disagree or agree with particular decisions, but it was a court that was above partisan politics. Doesn't mean people weren't political. Remember, these are political appointments, and they come to the court with political points of view. That's always been true. But they have been nonpartisan in the sense that they haven't generally tried to use the enormous power that they're given to achieve particular political party goals. And to see a decision like this, in which the Supreme Court had stepped in really for the first time in our history as a court to determine a presidential election, and particularly under the circumstances in which they did it, which was a decision that was so contrary to the way the justices in the majority had always interpreted the laws that they were applying before, and was disturbing and disappointing.
Almost sounds like a description of illegitimacy.
Rather
than mere wrongness.
I certainly thought it was a very, very wrong decision and very, very inconsistent with the legal principles as they had been applied in the past and as I believed the justices in the majority would apply them in the future.